Hey, I'm Anne Cocquyt, and in this show, we bring you the most inspiring stories from female entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators in our ecosystem, the Guild community. Hello and welcome, Denise Pines, here today on the Guild Show. I am so excited to have you on the show because you are not only an entrepreneur that wears one hat, but so many different hats. You are an age enthusiast and longtime community health advocate and a media pioneer on top of it all. And you have become a trusted resource for women as they pursue midlife wellness. You do that in the role as the co-founder of Tea Botanics, a hot flash tea. But then you also have this educational platform called Wisepause. And you just recently pioneered a report for femtech technology in 2020. And I think you also offer a program around startup competitions in that space to really help women take care of their health at the age of 40 plus. So Denise, welcome, and please tell us what gave you the energy and the inspiration to put your time and energy and resources into all these incredible initiatives.
So I've just, I've always sort of focused on women, but as I've gotten older, I focus now on age wellness for women. And as I got older, I started noticing that aging isn't a dirty word. I mean, I feel like aging is a dirty word. Nobody wants to talk about it. And as a result, so many people suffer, right? Men suffer as well. There are lots of things that come with them. But this all began for me when I got a hot flash. And I felt like I just wasn't prepared for the symptoms that I got that were associated with menopause. And then I thought about other women who are like me, who, find ourselves rendering silent during this time. And this time can be really long, right? I mean, your menopause to postmenopause years is about 30 to 40 years. And it's the time that we don't talk about health issues, really. And we are relegated to just suffering. And I just don't believe in suffering. I just have never had a mindset around suffering. And so that led us to starting Tea Botanics, because we felt that women who are 40, 50, and 60 deserve to live longer. They deserve to be active. They deserve to have independent and vibrant lives. And I think now menopause is finally having a moment. This year alone, I've read the most articles in the newspaper, even in the big one, like the New York Times, have had at least about 4 or 5 articles this year. And so I want women to come out of hiding. I want doctors and brands and media and celebrities to get it, right? I want solutions for vaginal dryness, for moodiness, for hot flashes, for incontinence, for the skin sags, for the lack of energy. And, I always tell people, guess what? It's like 7,000 women every day go into menopause. And when you magnify those days to a whole year, that's 2.5 million women, and it's counting. And by 2025, just 4 years from now, 1.1 billion with a B women in the world will be perimenopause stage. And we are not doing anything to help this.
I love that you're putting your energy into this space because it's so underserved. And I think also from an entrepreneurial perspective, what a uncharted territory, right? Like we have a few companies in that space that are starting to do things, but what a great space to start to offer solutions. So I'd love to hear from you. What is your latest entrepreneurial project and where is it at and what are the next steps? Tell us.
Sure. So Tea Botanics is really the, sort of the basis for everything that I've done. That's what got me started. So it's a plant-based solution that have medicinal level. So their teas, they have medicinal level impact. They're very unique. We get them from Taiwan, and we also use root herbs. And a lot of the potency of herbs are actually in the root, but that's the most expensive part of the herb. So most herbs that we experience, right, in teas and whatnot are actually the teas. And so they're not as potent. Where we are now with Tea Botanics is we're raising $2.5 million so we can expand into retail. We already have an opportunity in retail now, and we want to expand into that. So then I had an idea for a menopause app, and who did I join? I joined the Guild in the winter cohort and ended with a prototype. And we are seeking funding for that. And we're also seeking a tech lead to begin working with our developer. And then talking to all these women, you mentioned it earlier, we created Wisepause Wellness, a series of events that we did do in 2019. We used to do these in person, and now we do them virtually. And it's been fascinating to do them virtually. We all know, like, virtually you reach everybody in the world, but I think when, like, we got the data of all the women in the world that were actually watching our first virtual event, we were amazed. And so we're expecting 4,000 women this next event that we have, which is September 18th. And we talk about perimenopause, the menopause, and sort of all the symptoms, even things like thinning hair. We talk about, what should you be eating now for your body. We talk about how to dress for your body, because a lot of times women get, their belly or hips or butt get bigger, and they find themselves wearing box clothes. I call them the box look. And you don't have to dress like that. So we have someone who talks about the body shifting and what you can do for that. And then our FemAging project, we do research, we do consulting now, and we're going to do a report on where are solutions for women in this space, right? And what is it that women really want who are aged 40 plus? And we hope that this is a roadmap, honestly, for both the innovators to create solutions that women actually want to purchase, whatever they are, from SaaS to clothing, and for investors to actually start getting into this space and start investing into these solutions. I think in 5 years, we'll start to see money equivalency that we see actually in the childbearing years and solutions that are wrapped around that. So I'm very hopeful for that. So our next, we have a pitch competition that is October 7th. And the deadline for entries is the 22nd of September. And in 2022, we'll release our next FemAging HealthTech report.
Amazing. And we will make sure to put all the links in the show notes, and so that everybody who's listening today knows when this is happening. And even if you listen in the future and those dates are in the past, then I will absolutely continue to promote the events that Denise is organizing on the Guild, of course. And so I love the fact that, you went back and you said, I've created a company, Tea Botanics, but then I saw there's more issues and more challenges to be solved. And so then you went back and said, okay, perhaps there needs to be a better app, right? And then you also recognized as an entrepreneur, perhaps you have to learn a few things to make that a reality, which is why you joined the Guild Academy, which is how we met, and which was such a wonderful journey. So now on this entrepreneurial endeavor of creating an e-commerce brand, but also, starting to really tip your toes in technology and creating reports and these incredible events, what would you say has helped you most? Like, was it people, the money, your own skills, or tell us, what was it that you find was really most helpful for you to go on this path?
It's a great question. I'm really inspired by the women every day, right? That I really do this for them. I don't do this for myself, right? I had a whole nother life before this all happened. And so I am very passionate, and I'm giving, everything that I'm doing happens pretty fast. I just sort of got into all of this and in the last maybe 4 years, and I've created a lot of things around it, right? But it's because that I've had a lot of experience. And so really, I would say it's definitely been the skills that I've had, like in event planning. It allowed me to create an event and understand how to actually do it both virtually, but when we did them in person. I have raised about $100 million in probably the last 16, 17 years. So I know how to raise money for the events that I actually do. And then content development, I've been in news media for 20 years. So content is all, news media in particular is all about content. So, all of those skill sets just really it's like the perfect storm of how it all came together. And then I'll admit this, I am pretty politically connected nationally here up and down the state of California where I live. I know celebrities, obviously, doctors and corporate and foundation leaders. So I've leveraged all these relationships to build every aspect of what it is I'm doing. And then I've also helped start 10 companies. And so I know how to develop the vision for a company, to how to lead and manage people in those companies, how to work with a variety of technical systems and business models. So it's been, I've been fortunate. I'm not a, 25-year-old trying to start a business, having to learn all of this stuff, right? I'm like a 50-year-old who has all of this wealth of knowledge and experience and resources that allowed me to really fast track, things that would take other people a lot longer to do.
Yeah, and I think we totally underestimate those entrepreneurs in the ecosystem, right? And I think the organizations like Y Combinator are a reason for that, which is why we see a very biased entrepreneurial ecosystem. And so I love the fact that somebody like you, stands in the middle of her life and you're like, okay, here's what I've done in the past. I know you've done documentaries as well and had a whole career in that space, and you bring all these skills to building entrepreneurship. Now, we also have younger entrepreneurs in the academy, or also women who have not had this breadth of experience. And so when you look at them and you compare that with the thought leadership that you have developed so far, I'm curious what you would tell them, like which piece of advice you would give them to develop that thought leadership, perhaps when they're even new in a certain space, but they're really passionate about disrupting it.
So as a leader, I, over the years have been guided by like this quote by a guy named Richard Powell, which is, nothing lasts, nothing is finished, and nothing is perfect. And I really believe that, right? And so if you really kind of hold on to the essence of that, then it doesn't, you let go of perfection, you let go of something's going to be forever, and you let go of, this is when it's finished. And then you can actually create inside of that, right? And I think also if you have a clear set of values that you stand behind, that helps to create the culture of your company is going to be really important very early on when the culture of your company is you, right? You have to define what is that. Are you a fast-paced company? Are you an inclusive company? What are your, like the values that you want to be for that company? That needs to be clear, or you're going to find yourself all over the place and making decisions that aren't focused and grounded into something. And you don't have to be, I would say also, it doesn't have to be perfect to get started. And ask people for help. People really like entrepreneurs, and I know you know that. They really like entrepreneurs, but don't waste people's time with information that you can Google. Ask them stuff you cannot find. And then finally, and I say this, and I have to say it to myself all the time, know your strengths and focus on using them at the highest level, and build your team of people who have their great strength and help them to live that at their highest level. You cannot do everything, and neither do you really want to do everything.
And you just demonstrated that too earlier in the interview today, saying like, hey, I need help on the tech lead side of things, right? So yep. You're living what you're preaching, and I absolutely love that too. So Denise, in 3 years from now, where do you want to see the industry go in terms of FemAging, in terms of midlife wellness, and for women to really take charge in that space as entrepreneurs, and also as women who go through menopause and all kinds of health issues at that age?
Well, I hope to be instrumental in sort of changing the treatment knowledge gap with physicians. that women are seeing right now between the perimenopause and menopause years. I mean, I had a friend who I talked to last week who went to go see her doctor at 46, and she works in a conglomerate of 3,000 physicians, went to go see her OBGYN, who she believes is a good OBGYN, and she's having menopausal symptoms. And she said to her OBGYN, I think I'm having I think I'm in there perimenopause. And the doctor said to her, oh, you're too young. She's 46. She's right in the middle of perimenopause. So a knowledge gap. So what I'm working on is a research survey that will reveal this knowledge gap of current practicing doctors so that we can create educational courses for them, whether they take them in person at conferences, which is really where doctors go to learn more, or whether they do, virtual CMEs, things like that. And then take that data, go to the medical schools, talk with the directors of curriculum, and to have the curriculum expanded to teach women's health along their life stage and give it more than an hour or two discussion. I mean, you'd be shocked at how little emphasis of time that women's health is actually given in medical school. And they are in school for 4 years for medical training, right? That's just the medical training, then their specialties and whatnot. But if it doesn't actually happen in medical school training and they go into a specialty that isn't women focused, they're definitely not going to get it. So in the next 3 years, that's what I plan to do. The survey is going to happen this year. The data will be revealed next year. And so that's just sort of my 3-year focus. And I'm in a perfect position to do this. So I'm also on the board of directors for the Federation of all state medical boards. I'm on the Osteopathic Medical Board of California, and I'm the immediate past president of the Medical Board of California. So I know how the system works. And I think I'm perfectly aligned to really help drive this particular change.
That's amazing. And amen to that. I hope it works out. And I hope that we'll have more healthcare professionals who understand perimenopause and who then also can guide their patients to solutions that amazing women like you and entrepreneurs in the Guild and in FemTech Focus and all kinds of communities are creating, right? Because we need that advocacy from the healthcare community to point to solutions, right? We can't just try to be a B2C thing and not be supported by the healthcare professionals.
Yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Denise, it's been such a pleasure to have you here. And I'm so excited that you shared all those projects that you're working on. Now, let me know and let us know, how can the Guild community help you bring all these projects to fruition? And what's your ask for the Guild community?
Well, I would say my ask is helping me to find a tech lead, right? I don't know like technology, coding, any of that stuff. I know what content is, right? Again, I'm a content creator, so I understand what the content needs to be. So I need sort of a tech lead to be able to work with the developer to really like bridge and convey that in a way in which we actually lead to the kind of app that I think would work for women. And I'm looking at doing a web-based app because where women go first is they don't go, oh, I bet there's an app for perimenopause. They don't do that. They go and Google a symptom. That's where it all starts, right? Either you've got night sweats or something else, thinning hair that just came out of nowhere. There's usually a point of that they start with going on to search for that. And then another ask would be, I want to submit an SIRB grant, right, to the government. And I don't know that process at all. And I would love to be able to talk to someone who's actually gone through the process of putting that grant paperwork together, but they also have secured a grant.
Love that.
Okay, so if I could, those are my two things: tech lead, some recommendations, and then someone who's actually secured one of those government grants for any kind of device or anything else that they've done in the health space.
SBAR. Wonderful. And so I don't know if you know this, Denise, but we have just announced our partnership with opengrants.io. And they're a platform that really helps you understand which grants are out there for your particular project, and who also connect you to grant writers, because one big part of securing a grant is writing the application and then hopefully getting selected, right? And it's a whole skill set in itself. And they work with a whole set of grant writers, and also with grant writers that write grant for health tech or for specific areas, because, you know, writing a grant for clean tech or something around health is just completely different. So I'll put the links in the show notes as well, and we'll send them to you as well, Denise.
Perfect. Thank
you.
And
if there's anybody out there who has been successful in securing an SBIR grant for health tech applications, please reach out to Denise, and we will put her contact details in the show notes as well. And of course, you can find her on the Guild platform at letsguild.com. You can join for free. It doesn't cost anything. We also have pro level services where you can get access to a bunch of free online courses about entrepreneurship, and also our boot camps that we host on a quarterly basis. But with that, I'd like to thank you again, Denise, for joining us here today, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
If you're inspired, then subscribe to our channels on YouTube, on our social media channels at Get Gilded, and also on our platform, letsguild.com. You can also sign up to our newsletter to get news about the latest and greatest in inspiring stories from female founders, entrepreneurs, investors, and innovators in the Guild. I'll see you next time.